How are you, Haroula? It's
I'm good. How you doing?
good. Spoke to you several years back from a movie you did called Once Upon a Rivers.
No, I remember. Yeah,
Oh,
that was
you
a
re
great conversation. I felt like I was thinking back, and it does not feel like that long ago. How crazy.
it? Yes, with everything moves very, very fast. I'm here with Haroula Rose, filmmaker behind All Happy Families. First off, without giving too much away, what I really loved about this film is it didn't cater to the, I don't mean lowest common denominator, but there's so many movies, family dramas where everything is solved at the end. And I feel like your film gives us a snapshot into these people's lives. Was that one of your many intents into crafting this film?
Yeah, it was. Thanks for noticing that. I just felt like Kobe and I, my co-writer, we didn't want it to feel false. Like everything feels subtle and they're amazing actors and performances. And it just felt like if we can just somehow make it feel real, like it's still grounded, maybe these people are on a journey, but they're really just at the beginning of it instead of having everything tied up in a neat bow. I mean, life is never really that way, or at least not in 90 minutes.
Right. Can you talk about your locations for your film? I thought the house is really great, the neighborhoods. I thought you and your DP did a really good job at actually visualizing your film.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, I obviously just there's some amazing talented people who helped out a lot, like my DP and production designer. And I think the biggest challenge was making the most count for the low budget we had in terms of production design, because that house was basically bare. There was nothing in it. And so our production designer had to build it out like a set, like a true, almost like a TV show, like a set. And so how to do that in the best possible way and the most economical way was definitely a challenge. And then the rest of it was really a lot of favors because it's an independent film. And so when we got the boat ride, that was, a connection through a friend of Kobe's, or like the bar and restaurant stuff, or the office building was my dad's, like just really friends and family doing our best and trying to make it all feel like it was part of the same vision overall.
I am clueless as far as, well, I can know when a movie shot in film and digital to an extent, but I really love the fact that your film didn't look cheap. Is that hard to do? Or what kind of cameras did you use? Because it looked lived in. It was really good.
Thank
It's a
you.
very good look. And as
Thank
an
you.
idiot, I don't know all the little subtleties. What are the subtleties that go into making your film look more than low budget? Because I thought it was really good looking.
Thanks so much. Honestly, it's choosing good lenses more than the camera. It's choosing the right lenses that give you a good kind of dynamic range so that you don't have to worry about lighting things in a way that feels unnatural and overly lit, because I never really liked that vibe, on old sitcoms or TV shows that just look very like flat. So that's one thing, and having some dimension and shape to things and choosing a really nice color palette throughout. So in every frame, you're kind of looking at something that gives you a little bit of blue and white and green, and just trying to make sure you're always having that in mind. So for our set, it was really nice to choose the color green, like an earthy tone, and the house being a kind of character in the family. And then also in post-production, you can do certain things when you're doing a great color grade and get really specific and nerdy about how you want things to look and feel, or add a little bit of film emulation if you want. We did like subtle things in the color grade. So if you're making the right choices throughout, you really don't need to break the bank, or you don't have to shoot something on film anymore. Although I'd love to have that experience someday. I don't feel like as romantic about it.
That said, does it with all of these kind of details, does that make your post elongated as opposed to the regular post? Because was it a long process, or does the length it doesn't really matter to you because you're probably an obsessive. You probably want to spend as much time as you want on the film. Doesn't matter if it's a day or a couple of months.
Well, editing takes a long time for me. I'm sure there's people who can just like slap something together quicker, but I really, really like to go through all of the nuances of each of the performances and takes and look at like what's the best way of showing something. And I feel like also with a comedy that's also got drama in it, finding that balance, like striking that balance of not being too funny and not being too dramatic. So this one did take a while to edit, but I kind of love that process, even though it's sort of tortured because you know when you're finally there, but it does take a while, I think.
Guess in the big picture terms, when I saw Once Upon a River, maybe 5 years ago, 4 years ago,
Yeah, 2019. I can't believe it. Oh my God.
unbelievable. One of the many things I loved about that is just John Ashton. And I was frustrated because I was thinking, I want to see him in more films as a cinephile because he was
Yeah.
so great in that. So I'm the cinephile, you're the filmmaker. How much does it mean to you personally to have him by your side for this project and having that just through line of a working relationship with him?
Oh, I love it. I love when you have a certain familiarity with people, and I would 100% work with him and all these other people again once you have a certain kind of, their shorthand and their range, and it's just a beautiful conversation, especially when you've worked together before. So with John, it was really great because when we were writing this, I kind of knew he would do it. Like I knew he'd be perfect for it, and so hearing his voice saying some of the lines, we were like cracking up as we were writing it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I was looking at past interviews and you said, Josh is a friend from years back as well. The fact that he's also an indie filmmaker, he's had experience a lot as an actor, and you guys are friends. Did that help the
Oh,
production as far
yeah.
as that collaboration?
Definitely. Like he's such a dream because he has so much experience. Like you talk about like the 10,000 hours you need to be an expert or a master at anything. And, he has so many hours of knowing his own instrument and muscle as an actor. But what's really special about Josh is that he's also a great filmmaker. I love his movies and he really understands just getting to the truth of something. And he also kind of knows, he's like, oh, I think I have one more. I want to try this one other thing. And it's pretty awesome when someone has that. And I felt like all of these actors brought so much to the table in that way. And because he's been a director, it really helped a lot, actually. And he was so patient. There were times where I remember this one scene at the end of the movie. Well, I don't want to give it away, but the scene on the street at the end of the movie with Chandra. And we had like all of these cicadas going, and it was just unbearable. Like the sound was overwhelming, or like traffic, or just certain things that you couldn't plan for. So certain lines that he had to repeat like 50 times. I felt so bad for him, but he had infinite patience and was just sort of like making a joke about it. Such a great attitude. And obviously being old friends, I've known him for like 14 years, 13 years now, and we know each other via music. So it's really nice being able to collaborate in this way that's new for both of us. I really loved working with him. He's an amazing actor, and I feel like he should have his own show, honestly.
This one of the themes of this drama slash comedy is the fact that we really aren't entitled to a lot of time in this world. Was that one of the things that really, when you started writing the script, did that come from a real place? Did you start it from a real place and then build your story from that theme?
Yeah, I kind of felt like, I don't know about you, but I kind of always feel like a late bloomer in a way that, oh, I wish I already had accomplished this or that by the time I was 20 or 30 or whatever. And I feel like it's kind of nice to see these people realize they don't have an infinity of time left in their lives, but they're still trying to be better or make certain changes, or at least have the awakening or awareness for those of them who, have the little wake up call that, like, even if you're in your 40s or 50s or 60s or 70s, like, it's not really too late.
I've always wondered for you as an accomplished musician, singer, songwriter as well, and a filmmaker, how does your workflow on a daily, how are you able to actually do both with this discipline? Is it as simple as having a really focused workflow on a day-to-day basis, or
No,
is it more free flowing for you?
I should be more disciplined, but I'm not. I should be. I want to be. I feel like when I have a project going, I'm like very focused and definitely like, I'm a Taurus, so it's like the bull pushing a boulder up a hill or something. But I feel like in between things, I can sometimes get a little distracted or flounder or something like that. So right now I have these two projects that I really want to get off the ground that are both in early stages of development or pre-production. And I have a record that I want to put out. And I just have to see sometimes what the timing's going to be. Like, does it really seem like this is going to happen, or do I have time to do this? But music's so easy and accessible. Like, I can go record a few songs right now, and it doesn't take an army of people and a ton of money or anything like that. So it's very liberating and fun and easy. And with a film, I feel like it's just harder. You just have so much more effort and time, and energy spent on other things that aren't just the making of the thing. It's like raising the money, making sure the script is okay, and until you get to set, and then it feels like you're finally making the thing. But then really you make the thing while you're editing it.
This is a curious question with Once Upon a River. Uh, Does that lead actress, does she still act? Because she's so fantastic in your film. And then I wanted to ask you, working within that indie world, do you ever get that delayed gratification with people who have just seen your film maybe a year ago or months ago and they want to reach out to you and how much that movie means to them because it's such a personal work and it's really beautiful,
Oh,
beautiful
thank
film.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Kenadi, she's incredible. She didn't end up focusing on acting full time. I think that because she's so young, she's probably going to live 9 lives like a cat or something. But she's doing great. She's got her own business, and I feel like she's someone who can do anything she wants. And I was always hoping for her to continue on that path, but I feel like she'll still be able to if she wants to, if she's moved to do so. What's been really cool is seeing things like, John Ashton did the Beverly Hills Cop movie. So that makes people curious about him. And like Tatanka did the Martin Scorsese movie, Killers of the Flower Moon, and some series. So it's been cool seeing it have a life, even because 2020 was such a weird time to release a film. It's really nice to see it continue to blossom. It really is. And I think that was so personal for all of us. Gosh, that movie was like a miracle to make on all levels. So I'm really happy that it continues to move people. Last year, we had talked about doing an event with Bonnie Jo, the writer of the novel, at Kalamazoo College back in like 2020 or 2019, and it never happened. And then it finally happened maybe 8 months ago, and we got to go to Michigan together and have that moment to talk about it. And the whole theater was packed, and it was like hundreds of people. And it was really cool to see it still have that power or that impact and people showing up and stuff. I don't know, really special.
Were you surprised by that event? Because that's one of these
I
things where,
was.
yeah, that must have meant a lot for
Look,
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
Michigan, like they love her, and it's like such a Michigan story. So I knew people were gonna turn up, but I mean, it was really cool to see and how much people responded to it. And some people had seen it before, and a lot of people hadn't. So that was really cool, especially because we had been wanting to do something together all those years ago.
With this latest film, All Happy Families, one of the things it's snapshot, but I either in some form or another, I'd like to see you work with Colleen Camp again. I'd love to see their stories continue. I'm sure, is this just a standalone project? And are you excited about just working with this ensemble again in some form or the other? Because you have so many talented actors in your film.
I know this whole thing blew me away. Like I'm still just, I can't believe that we pulled it off and with these people and everyone was into it and excited. And I would love, love, love to have it continue its life if there was some way of turning it into a longer experience. It's come up before at some Q&As and stuff. We're like, oh, we want to know what happens to them. Is this going to be a show, or is there going to be another part to it? And I love that idea. I just don't know how, like, if it's right now in the cards, but if somebody wanted us to do it, I think we would. We had fun, all of us, like working together. It was a cool vibe for sure.
And final couple of questions. First off, from these two films, from your own experience, what does it take to be a real leader as a director? What are the most important qualities that one must have as far as mounting a production and seeing it through the finish line?
I think it takes this mix of being humble and making sure that everyone feels heard, and also having a clear vision of your own, but not being so attached to it that you're not open to other ideas too. I feel like it's this funny combination of really being determined and knowing exactly what you want, but also being malleable and open to things along the way. And I think in terms of getting a movie off the ground and finishing it, those things can seem insurmountable at the time. But now, having done that a few times, it feels a little bit easier. But there's always this moment at the very beginning where I feel like, okay, here we go again, going for it, just almost like you have to coach yourself in a way.
Yeah, my final question is, after watching All Happy Families, I'm going to tell my podcast audience to watch Once Upon a River. Both films, so different types of tones, are very personal and subtle. So that means cinema must mean a lot to you personally. I forgot what movie you mentioned years ago. I'm thinking maybe Walkabout or whatnot. But
Oh, yeah.
can you mention a movie that really struck you on a personal level that helped shape you as a person and what made it so
Yeah.
unique? Yeah.
There's so many, but I feel like there's one that I I remember watching The Elephant Man when I was like 4 years old, and it like fully was a transformative experience. Like I didn't know movies could do that. And I remember seeing, opening night, Cassavetes movie sometime in my late teens and being like, what? And I remember Walkabout was up there too. And basically any Terrence Malick movie, especially like the earlier ones. But I feel like lots of movies can do that to you. And it's so special in your life, especially when you're younger, to have that experience and stumble into those things. Battle of Algiers is one that I
Yeah.
saw in my 20s when I was in film school, well, at the beginning of film school. And that one also, I think, might be like my favorite movie ever.
Why? Because I'm a huge fan of Quemada Burn from Pontecorvo, but what makes it stand out for
Well,
you? I've only seen
that
it
one,
once. Yeah.
yeah. So I've seen it 3 times. I try to like space it out so I don't obsess and I don't like things to like lose their magic or something. But I feel like that one's very powerful because it acknowledges the fact that there's certain things that feel like they can't be won, like you can try to beat violence with violence that never works. And it kind of shows you the nuances of how it doesn't work. And also more importantly, I like that it was a use of non-actors and actors in a way that felt really so real, and it was beautifully shot. And I don't know, it just like left a mark on me.
Rula, thank you so much for your time. I can't even imagine at 4 years old, but were you able to process a little bit of the Elephant Man? Because
Oh my God.
my niece is 8 and she's still watching Pixar at the behest of her parents, God bless them. But I mean, how were
I
you able
had
to process?
yeah, I think I did. I think it really affected me, honestly. It was like so beautiful and traumatizing and heartbreaking, I was just like I couldn't even speak for days. My brother and sister are older than me, so they like also love movies, and I got exposed to so many movies because, my parents weren't like watching us 100% like a hawk all the time. So I got to see all these movies that I probably shouldn't have seen so young, but obviously they left a mark and here I am making movies. So
Okay, so thank you so much for your time. I really loved All Happy Families. So maybe we'll talk again in a couple of years.
yeah. Oh my God, I hope so. That would be great.
Okay, pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good day. Thanks for watching.